The firefly must glow every night, or the forest dies. They always told us never to stay in the woods past dark. Not because of wolves. Not because of shadows. But because the light might stop glowing, and if it did, nothing would hold the forest together. At first, I thought it was just an old folktale. I was 12 the first time I saw it. A single firefly, larger than any bug should be, floating slow and low through the trees. Its glow wasn't yellow like the others. It was white. Pure pale white. Almost silvery. It didn't blink like a normal firefly either. Pulsed like a heartbeat. They said she was the forest thread. That each night she flew a perfect circle around the ancient grove. And if the circle wasn't complete, if she didn't glow, the trees would unravel. Most people in town believed just enough to stay away. But my brother, Mason, didn't. Last summer, the fireflies stopped glowing. That was the first night he disappeared. He was 17. Brave. Or foolish. Maybe both. He used to say the forest was just bark and dirt. That the stories were made to keep kids in line. So, the night the glow didn't pass by our cabin window, he grabbed a flashlight and walked into the trees. I watched from the porch. I still remember the way the dark seemed to swallow his light too quickly. He never came back. The next morning, the trees were wrong. Twisted in strange directions, like they had turned to look at something. The birds were silent. And every animal track led away from the grove. When the elders heard, they only said one thing. The thread was broken. The forest will feed now. We buried an empty casket. But last night, the firefly returned. Its glow was faint, flickering. Almost sick. And when it passed our window, it paused. It hovered, right outside the glass, staring in with its tiny white light. And I swear, I heard it whisper my name. The firefly's glow lingered at the window like a breath against the glass. Soft, cold, aware. I didn't move. I couldn't. Its pale light pulsed once, then again, each beat slower than the last. Then, it drifted away into the woods. I should have closed the curtains. Instead, I followed. My boots sank into the soil, damp from a storm that never came. The forest was silent, not even the sound of my footsteps echoed. Only the distant glow pulled me forward, weaving between trees like a thread unraveling a secret. I recognized the path. It led straight to the old grove. The one we were never allowed to enter after dark. That's when I saw them. The trees. Bent in unnatural arcs, their bark cracked and groaning like old bones. Some had faces, not carved ones but grown. Knots shaped like screaming mouths, hollow eye sockets with sap that bled like tears. They hadn't been like this before Mason vanished. I pressed forward. The firefly hovered just ahead, now glowing more brightly. But its light no longer felt comforting. It felt desperate. As though it was trying to stay alive. Then I reached the circle. A wide clearing at the heart of the forest. Perfect in shape. Every tree spaced evenly around it, unnaturally so. In the center stood the thread tree, a giant trunk scorched black at the base but still alive, barely. The firefly spiraled around it once, then collapsed onto the roots. Its glow sputtered, faded, went out. A sound crawled up from under the tree. Not a roar, not a growl, a sigh. Like something ancient was waking from a dream. The earth trembled. Roots twisted underfoot like veins pulsing with hunger. I staggered back, heart slamming in my chest. Then I saw him. Mason. Or what was left of him. Half merged into the base of the thread tree, bark stretching over his skin like a second flesh, eyes dull and blind, but open. Watching me. His mouth moved. The firefly never missed a night, until me. And all around me, the forest began to breathe. I couldn't speak. Mason's face was almost peaceful, like he'd accepted the tree as part of him. But I knew my brother. That expression wasn't peace. It was trapped. His jaw trembled with effort, and his eyes, still open, still seeing, pleaded without words. The ground around the thread tree began to crack, dry despite the dampness everywhere else. I took a step forward, but the roots moved like snakes, coiling at my feet. From somewhere behind the bark, something groaned, a sound not made by anything that should live. Mason's voice rasped again, barely a whisper. It needs the firefly, or something else. I felt the meaning in his words, even if I didn't understand it fully. The firefly hadn't just stopped glowing. It had failed. And now, something the light had kept sealed was waking. The balance was broken. I tried to grab Mason's arm, but bark had grown over it like armor. His hand twitched once, then lay still. Then the wind changed. Except it wasn't wind. It was breathing. The trees exhaled together in one long, groaning gust. All around the clearing, I heard voices, faint and dry, like leaves rustling too late in the season. Dozens of names. All familiar. Every one of them from the town. People we thought had left. People we thought had run away, or gotten lost in the woods. The forest hadn't forgotten them. It had taken them. I turned to run. But I wasn't alone anymore. They were there, figures standing at the edge of the clearing. Their shapes warped, faces grown with moss, eyes glassy like sap. Some I recognized. My third-grade teacher, the gas station clerk, even the mayor. All of them staring silently. None of them blinking. Their mouths opened in unison, and from deep inside them came one sound. A glow. A hum. And then, from the base of the thread tree, the firefly rose again. But it wasn't white anymore. It was red. It pulsed once. And every figure at the edge of the clearing stepped forward. They moved like sleepwalkers, silent, smooth, unnatural. The glow from the firefly wasn't warm anymore. It pulsed with a red light that throbbed in rhythm with the forest's heartbeat. Shadows shifted in every direction, but no matter where I looked, those figures kept stepping forward, and the trees leaned closer. I backed away, heart pounding, shoes scraping against the exposed roots that now pulsed with the same red glow. Mason was silent again, his face half swallowed by bark, but his eyes still locked onto mine. There was something he wanted to say, but couldn't. And then I heard the forest speak through him. It didn't use his voice. It used all of them. Whispers, layered, overlapping, spoke directly into my bones. It must glow. One life each night. Or the forest must feed. I stared at the red firefly, now circling slowly above the clearing. Its light was no longer soothing. It was hungry. It hovered near me, slower now, as if deciding. The people-turned trees had stopped moving, standing in a perfect ring like ancient sentries. I turned back to Mason. His lips were moving again, just one word over and over. Run. But something in me wouldn't let go. I had to know why. Why Mason? Why the firefly? Why this forest? My hand reached toward the glowing creature as it passed low to the ground, wings leaving faint trails of burning red light in the air. It didn't flee. It landed on my hand. And for a heartbeat, I understood everything. The firefly wasn't the villain. It was the warden. A living seal that kept the hunger of the forest from rising. But its power was thinning. The forest was too old, too angry, too awake. And now it wanted something new. It wanted me. The glow surged and I was pulled down, slammed against the roots. They wrapped around my arms, my chest, my throat. I gasped, choking not on earth, but on memories. The memories of everyone the forest had taken. They filled my head. The fear. Their screaming. Their final thoughts. And then the glow blinked out. For the second time in its long life, the firefly failed to shine. The firefly's glow vanished, snuffed like a candle. And with it, everything changed. The silence shattered as the ground split open beneath the thread tree. The roots, once coiled and patient, now thrashed like serpents. Bark cracked and peeled, revealing red muscle beneath, living flesh, not wood. The trees wailed. Not the wind through branches, but screams. I tried to move, but the roots held fast. My arms were pinned, my chest crushed against the pulsing soil. I could barely breathe. All around the clearing, the knot people began to convulse, jerking, spasming, as if the light inside them was being sucked away. And it was. Something beneath the thread tree was waking. It rose, not with a shape but with presence. Like a shadow that couldn't be seen, only felt. Coldness slid across my skin, not like winter, but like drowning. I could feel it pressing into my thoughts, pulling at my soul like it wanted to wear me. Then I heard the voice again. The light was mercy. Now there is only memory. My brother's body split further into the bark. His mouth froze in a scream that made no sound. His eyes dimmed. Gone. I was next. The roots around my neck tightened. The forest wanted a new Firefly. A new warden. It was choosing me. That's when I remembered something Mason said. It needs the Firefly or something else. And I realized I could choose back. With my last strength, I bit my tongue and whispered my brother's name. Over and over. Louder. As loud as I could force through bloodied lips. Mason. 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 The roots hesitated. The Firefly flickered. And then, a spark. Tiny. It rose from Mason's chest. Not a firefly, but a piece of him. A last fragment of who he was. It hovered for 1 second. Then it glowed. And the forest screamed. Every tree howled in pain. The roots recoiled. The red light dimmed. I gasped as air flooded my lungs. The ring of twisted people around me collapsed into dust. And just like that, silence. The forest stilled. The firefly circled me once, a white flame again, then vanished into the branches. It's been 5 nights. The firefly glows now. But it's smaller, weaker. And I know someday soon, it will fail again. And when it does, someone else will have to glow. Or the forest dies.